Can get no love.
Welcome back to George Davis Live. Creditinfo Jamaica Limited is set to begin its credit reporting operations, having satisfactorily met the conditions stipulated in its license by the Bank of Jamaica. This as the company navigated over a year of rigorous evaluation and inspection by the central bank. Creditinfo will now move to provide credit reports based on credit information provided by institutions which signed agreements and share such data in the company's credit bureau system. We have the CEO of Creditinfo, Deane, to tell us what the market can expect. Good afternoon, Mrs. Deane.
Oh, it's Miss Deane, and please do call me Megan, George. Happy to be here.
Excellent. All right, Megan, let's do it. Let's go. So, you have gotten the green light from the BOJ. What now? What happens at this point?
Well, that was a significant hurdle. As you know, the Bank of Jamaica is the supervising authority for credit bureaus, and they have set the bar very high in terms of what they expect in terms of the bureaus being able to protect consumers' information, consumers covering both individuals and businesses, and then be able to reliably extract that information. So we were able to demonstrate all of that to them and using real data in a live environment. What we're going to be doing now is a very measured rollout of the services. We're now first going to, I have some of my trainers coming from Europe next week, because, you know, we're a joint venture with a European company,
yes.
Creditinfo Group, and they are going to be assisting us to train our credit information providers in how to use the credit bureau system, how to interpret the reports that are generated, and how to use them in their risk management and credit assessment. And then we will start issuing actual reports on the 1st of July.
Great, that's your target.
That's our target.
This is a new frontier for the Jamaican layman, and of course those in the kind of businesses to which you'll be looking to strike those partnerships to make the business carry. You've said a lot about what Creditinfo is, what it represents, how it will operate, but given the novelty of what you're providing in the Jamaican market, I'm asking you again, for the benefit of those who are not yet in step with what a credit bureau will do and what Creditinfo will do as the forerunner in the market, remind us precisely of what will materialize.
Okay, the one thing I would say, it's actually not that novel. You know, people have been using credit information, but in this very more structured, formalized environment. That is what is new, the framework that has been put around it. But leaving that aside, what will essentially happen is that we, as a licensed credit bureau, have signed up credit information providers as defined under the legislation, and these include banks, building societies, credit unions, hire purchase companies, the Development Bank of Jamaica, Exim Bank, Students Loan Bureau, basically
NHD
is specifically named in the legislation.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, any institution that extends credit is capable of being a credit information provider. And once you have signed them up, they will send the credit history of their customers. The law mandates up to a maximum of 7 years. They will send it to us, and we will take all of that data into our credit bureau system, and we will then be able to use a unique identifier. In our case, we'll be using the TRN number, and we will be able to then pull a single report from all of those credit providers who have provided us information to which that particular consumer of interest has been a client. So if, George, you have had exposure with a bank and then a building society and then a credit union, instead of an institution either going directly to them individually or asking you to go to them and pay to get that report, they can send to us as the credit bureau. We will type in your TRN number, and all the data from those three companies will be synthesized in the hardware, and we'll be able to develop a single report. And then our credit information providers will have electronic access. So here we're moving with the technology. so that it will be now real-time access to information. So we will speed up the decision-making process because they will have all of that information at their fingertips.
So who owns the report after you've processed the data and you send it to, for instance, you send it to Deane Bank? Mm-hmm. And you send that information to Deane Bank and say Kamara Williams or Damian Franklin, just two names at random. And another entity wants information on those two gentlemen. Do they ask the Deane Bank to send over that data to them, or they have to go back to Creditinfo?
No, they have to come back to Creditinfo. The information that is accessed from the credit bureau belongs to the accessor because they're the one that will have the right to that information. And bear in mind, one of the things that I need you and your listeners to understand is that this is a dynamic process. We will be getting information. Our credit bureau system can take the information nightly in updates. So we will be getting real-time updates of what is happening with an individual's management of their credit exposure. So if Deane Bank gets the information today, there is no guarantee in any event that the information that will be there tomorrow or next week will be the same.
Yes.
You know, it may have changed in the night if you either took out another loan that day or paid off another loan that day. So it's, but in any event, you have to pull your own reports.
Yes. Between now and July 1, when you hope to process the first report, beyond training, you say your partners are flying in to train the staff that you have here. What other...
Well, not just our staff,
yes.
The staff of the credit information providers as well.
Right, your partners. What else will happen during this window?
Well, we're also going to be out there trying to educate the public a little bit more. When we first got our license, we had gone on a media blitz and really tried to get people sensitized to the fact that the environment was going to be changing and what this was going to mean for them. We're going to be re-energizing again in that direction to really educate the consumer, because pretty much the institutions have a fine understanding. It's the mechanics of actually using the credit bureau system that we're going to be helping them with. But we want our consumers to be educated and informed, because educated and informed consumers have power and they know how to better negotiate their own positions from knowing all that there is to know about how to use their credit history to their advantage. So we're going to be working on that as well.
I recall in December 2012, you said that you did not yet have, let me say, agreement. You may use another term, but I'm conveying the same idea, I hope. You did not yet have an agreement with the utility companies. Is that now taken care of?
No, the utility companies were not included in the legislation as credit information providers. And this was deliberately so by the formers of the legislation, because they were a little concerned that some of the information in those databases needs to be cleaned. We have certainly been lobbying with the Bank of Jamaica and to the Ministry of Finance, or the minister really, because he's the one with the power to nominate institutions as credit information providers. And I know the utility companies themselves have also been trying to see what they can do, because what we don't want is a situation where people are challenging the integrity or the veracity of the reports that are presented. So I think there is a concern and a need for the utility companies to be sure that their data is clean, that their meters are correct, and so on, so that when they send the information over, that there is limited opportunity for consumers to challenge those reports.